In 2016, he gave himself a whopping $437,555 bonus, which was more than the $250,000 base compensation he listed that year.
Oh my God.
It's our boy Al Sharpton. And I don't even know whether I need y'all opinion on this one. Hold on, let me actually shared the wrong screen. Hold on. I need y'all opinion on this one, because I'm going back and forth on what I think about Al Sharpton pocketing all this bonus money. I believe he's pocketed $1 million in the last 7 years of bonuses, almost $1 million. So I don't know. This is if you guys remember, Al Sharpton did an interview with Kamala Harris, and it was an extremely softball interview. It's like he didn't have any pushback. And I actually think that the only reason why we weren't as upset about it is because that's just what we expect from a guy like Al Sharpton. That's just what we expect. So, but what I think is relevant with the Kamala Harris interview is when it comes out that he's been paying himself huge bonuses, a lot of times greater than, or a few times greater than his actual salary with the National Action Network, his nonprofit. So when you hear Kamala Harris donating to his nonprofit, initially it's kind of like, like maybe he has a nonprofit. She looked out, cool. We still on this show saw it as exactly what it was, a kickback. But at least it doesn't look as bad as when it comes out that how much he's paying himself in bonuses. I'm going to read a little bit from this article. According to a review, let me make sure you guys can see it on your end. All right, so you guys can follow along as well. All right, let me get back to the article. All right, so according to a review of National Action Network's tax records, Sharpton began making bonus and incentive compensation listings in 2014 and would repeatedly do so every 2 to 3 years after. In 2014, Sharpton gave himself a $64,400 bonus. In 2016, he gave himself a whopping $437,555 bonus, which was more than the $250,000 base compensation he listed that year. In 2018, he listed $159,596 as a bonus to his $324,000 base compensation. And the biggest one he listed was another $563,352 under other reportable compensation. So obviously you could see 2021 gave himself nearly $300,000, which was 80% of his compensation that year. So the man's, y'all get what I'm saying. He's hitting himself off with some nice bonuses. Should this be an issue? Should this be an issue? I really don't know. Initially, when I heard it, I was like, yo, here he go, poverty pimping again. It's just Uncle Al. Should he be able to give himself a bonus? I really don't know. I'm going to wait for at least somebody to comment in the chat. And this is one of those things where I don't really feel that I have a strong position either way. Do you, ma'am? 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 Nah, I'm just messing with mine in the background. I don't know. I don't know. What it does show is just like anything else. And maybe this is one of those things where if we're all right, so Uncle Brother, let me read Uncle Brother's comment. Money laundering, kickback, whatever you want to call it, doesn't really matter. They're all doing it in some form or another. That's the game. That's why they're so upset about Trump coming in. And this is exactly why I said, Uncle Brother, I don't know if I feel any particular way towards Al Sharpton compared to everybody else. Honestly, I hear this and I'm thinking like, well, yeah, this is exactly what MSNBC does. And maybe this is the reason why MSNBC, from a public standpoint, hasn't disciplined Al Sharpton, hasn't said that they gave him any punishment, reprimanded him in any way, because they know that they're doing the same thing. They're getting money from a lot of these other corporations, and maybe they're not even laundering it through a nonprofit. They're getting paid from Big Pharma. They're getting paid from all of these entities that we talk about when we say the powers that be, whether it's the Black Rocks, whether it's all these other organizations that we know contribute a lot of money because it's very important for them to control the things that we think, our perspective on the world, and everything else that goes into how we move in this society. That's why I think that maybe an interesting question to ask is if they ask different generations, what is the purpose of media? What is the purpose of media? And this question, a similar question, came up when we were listening to Candace Owens and Nick Cannon, where Nick Cannon was saying that the purpose of entertainment was to, from a stressful life is to allow you to relax, and then to be profitable. That was the purpose of entertainment. That has never been the purpose of entertainment. You could say it's to help people relax, but it's really to control people's minds. That's a different thing. It's to distract you from what's really going on, to hide certain things, to finesse you, to get things passed without you paying attention to them because you're focusing on what Diddy's doing at his Diddy parties. That's what I thought that entertainment was for. No, so the question that I think would be interesting is if we ask different generations, if we ask my parents' generation, our grandparents' generation, maybe the kids younger than us, that generation, what is the point of the news? What is their mission? And when I say the news, I guess that's a little bit, I don't know if I could say the news anymore. What is the purpose of these mainstream platforms like MSNBC, Fox, CNN, ABC, NBC? What is the point of them? And I think that the older generations would be more inclined to say that, well, the purpose is to, provide us news and to provide us information so that we understand what's going on in the world. Compared to, I think, as we go younger and younger and get to our generation and definitely the younger generation, I think that the answer would be more to manipulate and brainwash us. It's almost like if you looking at some of these other institutions, if you ask the older people, what is the purpose of healthcare? What is the purpose of the healthcare industry? What is the purpose of, I don't know, like if you named, there was another industry that I had in mind, but if you ask them what is the purpose of the school system? If you ask the older generation, it's to make sure that we're properly prepared for life, that we're developing certain tools and skills that will allow us to have a prosperous life, right? That's what I hear an older generation saying. A younger generation saying it, answering that question, I think it would be totally different. I think that the younger generation would be more inclined to actually answer it in a way that John D. Rockefeller, when they created the Board of Education, and they stated that they're creating this Board of Education to create employees, not to create free thinkers. I think that the younger generation can see this much clearer than a lot of the older generations. And I think it's just because the manipulation tactics were different. I think because in a lot of ways, younger people tend to just push back against a lot of the things and the thinking that their parents have. So I'm not even saying it's from an intelligence standpoint. So let me actually lead with that, because I think what a lot of older people may hear when I'm saying these things is that the younger generations are smarter and we just see things more clear than you guys because we're more intelligent. I'm not saying that at all. What I'm saying is the brainwashing tactics, the manipulation is totally different. For you guys, it was totally different. For us, we have more exposure with social media. We hear the voices of a lot more people that challenge a lot of these mainstream thinking points and how they see the world and what they're pushing to us. So it's just different. So don't necessarily get so defensive and think that I'm saying that the younger generations are just more intelligent than y'all. I'm not saying that at all, because there's a lot of things that I think our younger generation suffer from that you guys are much better at, just based on how society, the culture that we live in, different influences that we have that shape us in different ways. So that's kind of what I'm thinking. Let me get to these comments real quick. Yes, the job of entertainment is to provide the population with its programming. The job of entertainment, in my opinion, is the same thing as the job of the news. It's the same thing as the job of the Board of Education. It's the same thing. They just use different angles to program us in different ways. And then they create businesses based on how we're being programmed so they can capitalize on whatever way we're being programmed. I hope that made a lot of sense. I know that was a lot of, I said a lot. Hopefully the message came across. And then Mama Lay said control, 100%. This is all about control. It's all about control. And when we realize and accept, I think it's an acceptance thing as well. When we accept that for one, there's people out here that just want to control us because they benefit from it, or the people that pay them benefit from it. That's like the first step. Then you start to look into it in a way where you say like, well, damn, who's benefiting from me being controlled this way? Who's benefiting from me thinking this way? And then we just move forward from there. So that's my stance on it. That's my stance on it. All right, so we're gonna move on. It's Dak. Just want to thank you for checking out our video and visiting the OG Network. If you enjoyed the video, please make sure that you give us a like. And if you're looking to join a community of inspired individuals striving for purposeful abundance, subscribe. And if you're feeling real generous, share the video with some friends and family. All right, I'll see y'all soon. Ew.